leader of the free world.
All right, let's go to this. They're meeting.
Looking forward to having like we said, a smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So welcome back.
This is my video update on this Wednesday afternoon, November the 13th. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with some more Trump cabinet picks. So we have Ratcliffe as the CIA director. We have Huckabee as the ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee. In the past, no one would care or even know who the U.S. ambassador to Israel was. But now, given everything that's happening, this position is garnering a lot of attention. This appointment of Huckabee to the post of ambassador to Israel is getting a lot of attention. We have Noam, who is the Homeland Security. I believe she was or is governor of South Dakota, right? So she's Homeland Security. Mike Waltz, by the way, that's been confirmed. So yesterday, the news was that the rumors were that Rubio was going for Secretary of State and Mike Waltz was going for NSA, Jake Sullivan's position. Rubio has not yet been confirmed. That's still a rumor, but Waltz is confirmed. And we also have Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. They are going to be co-leaders, co-managers. If you used to watch The Office, Michael Scott and Jim, who became co-managers. Musk and Ramaswamy are going to be co-managers, co-leaders of the Department of Government Efficiency, Dogecoin. Is that how it's pronounced? D-O-G-E? I don't know, but yeah, Dogecoin. Department of Government Efficiency or Inefficiency? I don't know. Of Government Efficiency, I think it is. Yeah, so that was a huge announcement. Got a lot of attention because, of course, you're talking about Musk and Ramaswamy. So that was an interesting announcement. That's a new department, by the way. The D-O-G-E. The Dogecoin. I wonder if Dogecoin is going up. Not that it's connected or related to this position. I'm just kind of curious. The Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah, I got that right. And then we had the big surprise. No one called this one. No one was expecting this. We have Fox News' Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense, Department of Defense, Pete Hegseth. A former military guy, but he's been a Fox News analyst, a commentator, host, analyst for the past, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years. And no one was expecting this. I mean, no one was expecting this. I called this, actually. I called this the other day. No, I'm just kidding. I did not call this. I had no clue that this was going to be the pick for Secretary of Defense, taken over for Lloyd Austin III. That's hot. Yeah, so everyone's talking about these picks, but everyone's talking about Musk, Ramaswamy. I think that's getting a lot of attention. Of course, Pete Hegseth is getting a lot of attention. So, what do you see when you look at these picks from Trump? What do you see? You have Florida represented. You have New York represented in Stefanik and Lee Zeldin. You have a lot of people that are close to Trump who are part of his I don't want to say his inner circle, but they're part of his circle. There's also a lot of outsiders who are not connected at all to the U.S. government. A lot of people have never held positions in the U.S. government. Pete Hegseth actually is one of those people. I don't think he's ever been a government employee. I don't think so. Ramaswamy, Musk. You could say that Musk obviously has connections to the U.S. government given his various businesses, but he's not an employee of the U.S. government. But Starlink and SpaceX, obviously, they have to deal with the government a lot, as does Tesla. But most people, or a lot of people in Trump's new cabinet, are very, very loyal to Trump. Even Ratcliffe, he was DNI, wasn't he, in Trump's first term? Even Ratcliffe was someone who served Trump in his first term, but whether you like Ratcliffe or not, he's a hawk on China. On China, he's a hawk. But he was loyal to Trump, man. I mean, he was one of the few people that did not throw Trump under the bus. So he's going to be the CIA director. So I think what you're seeing is you're seeing Trump build a team that is loyal to him. Whether you like these guys or not, these guys and girls, whether you like them or not, there are a lot of hawks in here. I've used the term neocon light. Some people don't like that term, but I think that's a pretty accurate term because they're not ideologues to the neocon way of thinking. They're not true believers in the neocon religion. Yes, they're hawkish. Yes, they want, if they could get conflict, they would be all up for conflict. But they also have a part of them, all of these picks, they do have a part of them that they do understand that the U.S. does have limitations. And I'll explain that in a bit. But he's picking a team that is loyal to him and that I think will give Trump the ability to exercise a strong executive. If Trump wants to, he can be a strong president for good and bad. For good and bad. Depends on the choices he makes. But no one in this group of people, at least I don't think anyone in this group of people, with the exception of Rubio, but that's not confirmed yet, is going to undermine him. At least that's how I see it. No one's going to undermine him like Bolton, like Pompeo, like Kelly, like, who was it? Was it Esper, who was the Secretary of Defense, that when Trump gave the order to pull troops out of Syria, he just completely ignored the order? I don't know. Maybe it wasn't him. I forgot who it was. But, yeah, Trump was getting undermined a lot in his first term. No one in this list is going to undermine Trump. At least I don't think so. Larry Johnson actually has a really good take on this. Let me find his article on Sonar 21. It has the title, "What is Donald Trump Doing?" And Larry says, as he's talking about Pete Hegseth, he says, but then came tonight's stunner. Trump named Fox News host Pete Hegseth as his nominee for Secretary of Defense. Wow, Hegseth, apart from having served in the Army, has no experience managing a gargantuan bureaucracy like the Department of Defense. What the hell is Trump thinking? I think it is simple. He is installing loyalists in key positions who are not compromised by or beholden to the military-industrial complex or the defense lobbyists in D.C. I know one of those lobbyists. We used to be neighbors, and I guarantee you he is livid tonight. Trump is sending the deep state an unmistakable message. I will be running the show. And then further down in the article, Larry Johnson rightly points out that one of the most interesting picks is Musk and Ramaswamy. He says, anyone want to bet that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy who were announced to oversee the Department of Government Efficiency, will be taking a big whack at the DOD. Yeah, I think the most important picks are Musk and Ramaswamy. They have a mandate until 2026 to clean everything up. To clean everything up in the government. They've been tasked with cleaning the swamp, with draining the swamp. Elon Musk said he wants to cut something like $2 trillion in spending, $2 trillion from the budget or something like that. And Ramaswamy, he said that a way to cut down the headcount in the government, to get rid of a lot of the bureaucrats who aren't really doing much, is to just let them go depending on their social security number. He says on day one, instantly fire 50% of federal bureaucrats. Here's how. If your SSN ends in an odd number, you're fired, your social security number. That downsizes government by half. Absolutely nothing will break as a result. It doesn't violate civil service rules because mass layoffs are exempt. Shut it down. Musk put out a post on X. Either we get government efficient or America goes bankrupt. That's what it comes down to. Wish I were wrong, but it's true. Douglas McGregor rightly pointed out that the Trump transition team is now creating a warrior board to purge useless generals. And he says developing. It's a developing position. Not much details about this transition team that's going to purge the generals, who are what? A lot of the generals are what? They're in the pockets of the MIC, defense contractors like Lloyd Austin, sitting on the board of Raytheon or Lockheed or whatever, and then he becomes the Secretary of Defense. So that's the way I see it. Trump is building a team. I'm very much in line with Larry's thinking. A lot of people are not gonna like this, the way we're looking at it, because there's a lot of doom and gloom. Rightly so. These are people who are neocon or have neocon tendencies, thinking. They have neocon thinking, leanings. But the team is loyalist to Trump, and it's up to Trump. It's up to the executive branch to be strong, to make strong decisions. Once again, these could be good decisions or these could be bad decisions. But no one in this group of people is going to undermine Trump. And Musk and Ramaswamy, if they do their job right, and I don't see why they will not, but if they do their job effectively, they're going to cut a lot of the Pentagon. I mean, a lot of the waste. Where does it come from? The Department of Defense. Is Pete Hegseth going to push back against that? No, he's not. He's not going to push back against that. Would someone like Lloyd Austin push back against that? Yeah, absolutely. So those are the picks. Politico, they put out an article with the title, "Who the F is this guy? Defense World reacts to Trump's surprise Pentagon pick." Hegseth is undoubtedly the least qualified nominee for Secretary of Defense in American history, one veteran's advocate said. The Kiev Independent. This is the Kiev Independent, everybody. Super pro-Ukraine propaganda, right? The Kiev Independent. They put out a post on X saying, Trump confirms he chose Waltz as National Security Advisor. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump said on November 12th he had chosen Waltz as his National Security Advisor. Waltz's views on Ukraine have evolved. In 2022, he called on U.S. President Joe Biden's administration to provide more weapons to Kiev. However, in October 2024, Waltz said that there must be a reassessment of the United States' aims in Ukraine. Is involvement in Ukraine in America's interests? Are we going to put in the time, the treasure, the resources that we need in the Pacific right now? Waltz asked. That's why I use the terms that I use for these guys. These aren't the neocons of Lindsey Graham or Dick Cheney or Liz Cheney or Crystal or Kagan, Newland. These are like a different kind of neocon. First of all, they're not as obsessed with Russia. Yeah, they hate Russia. They hate Putin. Putin's a thug. Putin's a dictator. He invaded Ukraine and he wants to rebuild the Soviet Union. All this stuff, fine. Everyone's going to say that in D.C. Everyone in the mainstream media, on the collective West mainstream media, Fox, MSNBC, CNN, they're all going to say the same thing about Russia and Putin. No one's going to come out and say Putin's a great leader. No one. No one's going to say that. Not even someone like Tulsi Gabbard would say something like that. No one's going to go that far. But the difference is that they're not as obsessed with Russia. They're absolutely obsessed with China. This is true. But what are they going to really do to China, especially in 4 years? I don't see it. I mean, ramping up to a conflict with China is going to take, if that is indeed the plan, that's going to take a lot of time. And I don't see this group of people actually executing that successfully. That's just my own opinion. But yeah, they're very hawkish on China. They're very hawkish with Iran. I think Iran is the most in danger. That's my opinion. I think a lot of this group of picks, these people filling these positions for the incoming Trump administration, Iran is the weakest link. They know that. Everyone knows that. That's what they believe, at least. That's what they believe, is Iran's the weakest link in the multipolar world, this axis of evil that they call it, right? The Russia, North Korea, Iran, China, whatever thing. So I think that a lot of them are very pro-Israel, and they see Iran as being the one link to the chain that they can probably successfully take on. But even that is not a guarantee that that's what they're going to actually do. We don't know. So we have to wait until Trump is inaugurated and we see what type of president he is. But as far as the old school of neocons, the Newlands and the Kagans, this new group is not, or these picks are not obsessed with Russia. I mean, you saw what the Kiev Independent posted. The Kiev Independent, they said that Waltz has changed his view on Russia. And Waltz believes that Russia's a gas station masquerading as... He believes all that stuff. Fine. He believes it. But he knows that Project Ukraine is an L for the collective West. Deep down inside, he knows it. And he knows that the U.S. really doesn't have any way to defeat Russia. He thinks that they can leverage Russia into a negotiation, but he knows that the U.S. can't take on Russia. Deep down inside, he knows it. Pete Hegseth, he said some really nasty stuff about Russia, but deep down inside, he knows that the U.S. can't take on Russia. And I've seen interviews of him over the past 6 months where he's pretty much hinted at that. He said that we have to get out of Ukraine. He doesn't believe that the U.S. should take on Russia. The Europeans should take it on. Pretty much that's what he said. Of course, Putin's bad, Putin did this, Putin did that, fine. But if you go and watch their most recent interviews and go to their most recent statements, you see that they've changed their tune on Russia. 3 years ago, when they thought that Ukraine was winning and the ghost of Kiev and Snake Island and the great Kherson counteroffensive and the great Kharkov counteroffensive, everyone bought into that. Everyone in D.C., everyone at Fox News, everyone bought into that. And they thought Ukraine was going to win. Nonsense. We all knew that. Everyone that watches this channel, we knew that was all ridiculous talk. But everyone bought into that. And back then, they were talking big game. They were talking a lot of smack. We're going to beat Putin. Let's go harder. Let's escalate. Let's really stick it to Russia because we're winning. We're going to win. They didn't win anything. And now they realize it. But even Rubio, he changed his tune. He even voted against money to Ukraine. I believe Waltz also voted against money to Ukraine. I think even Stefanik took a step back from her rhetoric with Russia. I'm not sure, but all of these picks, while they hate Russia and they would be super happy if they could topple Putin, all of these picks over the last 6 months to the last year, they've all taken a step back from their we're going to defeat Russia talk. and they've moderated their tone. So China, they're hawkish, and Iran, they're hawkish. But as far as China goes, I can't see them doing much with China. I think China is going to be Trump's economic. I don't want to say war, but that's going to be where he takes on China from a trade economic position. That's what he did in his first term. I think he's going to continue that in his second term. So those are the picks. Let's see. Do I have anything else to add? I don't think I do. Zelensky's gone. Zelensky's gone. Those are the rumors. Even The Economist is saying it. Even The Economist is saying that Zelensky is gone. Volodymyr Zelensky faces a power struggle in 2025. There are rumors that the Trump administration or the Trump negotiation with Russia, these are just rumors, but that one of the things that they're going to propose to Russia is elections, and that way they get rid of Zelensky, elections in Ukraine. And that makes the Russians happy. That makes the administration, the Trump administration, happy because they get rid of Zelensky, and that will open up the path to negotiations. That's just a rumor. That's one of the things that they're going to pitch to Russia. But The Economist is saying Zelensky's gone. They're even saying that in May of 2025, there's going to be elections in Ukraine. The Hill is saying that Trump doesn't like Zelensky. They say he has a deep disdain for Zelensky, going back to the whole impeachment, the phone transcript. The impeachment, that was the second go at impeaching Trump, the Zelensky phone call. And ever since then, Trump has just not had any time for Zelensky. And the Hill is worried. The Hill is very worried. They're afraid that Europe's going to be forced to take over Project Ukraine. The possible abandonment of Ukraine by the new administration risks Putin perceiving a green light to pursue further expansion and could trigger an earthquake in European politics. That's what the authors say in the Hill article. These guys are think tankers, the authors, Hamilton and Perry. One guy's with some think tank, and the other guy was working at, I believe, the Associated Press. Yeah, AP's former chief editor in Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. And the other guy that wrote this article was working for the think tank Foreign Policy Research Institute. So these think tankers are very worried that Trump doesn't like Zelensky and he's going to drop funding for Ukraine. The EU would face a difficult choice: step in to fill the void left by the US, which it can't, and rapidly bolster its own defense, which it can't, and aid mechanisms for Ukraine, which the EU cannot, or risk Russian expansionism moving unchecked, which Russia is not going to do, they wrote. So everything they wrote is wrong. That's why Musk and Vivek, if they want to start really scaling down the U.S. government, the bureaucracy, a good place to start is all of the think tanks connected to the Department of Defense and the State Department. Man, get rid of all the money going to all the think tanks and the NGOs. Get rid of all of that stuff. Let them figure out a different way for them to make money. They can sell T-shirts, right? They can sell mugs and T-shirts and stuff like that, yeah. They can do podcasts. You can have the Newland podcast, the Victoria Newland podcast. They can have a YouTube channel, Newland. Victoria Newland can do walk and talks like I do, so that she sits on the board of what, the National Endowment of Democracy. Yeah, that's a great idea. Instead of these NGOs and these think tanks getting money from the U.S. government, Musk and Vivek should tell them the money's stopping, no more money. And the NED can then have podcasts, walk and talks with Victoria Newland. She could walk around, talk about the news, pass out some cookies and bread. Yeah. She can do something like that. Sell some T-shirts. Let's talk about some news. I'm Vicky Newland. Let's talk about some news. Would you like a cookie? A sandwich? Some bread? So yeah, Zelensky's in big trouble. Deep poo-poo. The man in the green t-shirt. That's how it looks. But don't worry, Zelensky. Do not fear. Do not fear, because your best friend, your buddy, your bud, your best buddy is coming to save the day. Boris Ojo Johnson. That's right, Boris Johnson. He is saying that if the U.S. pulls out of Project Ukraine, then it's time for the UK to step up and take over. Boris Johnson says British troops may have to go to Ukraine if Trump cuts support. Yeah, that's right. Zelensky has nothing to fear if Trump ditches Ukraine, because the UK is going to fill that void. What did Boris Johnson say? I believe he was speaking to GB News. And Boris Johnson, he said that Russia's success in Ukraine would spark a security crisis for the U.S. and its allies on a multitude of fronts. It'll be the Baltic states. It'll be in Georgia. You'll see the impact of a Ukrainian defeat in the Pacific theater. You'll see it in the South China Sea. The politician said, without specifying what exactly could happen in those regions. He also described military and financial assistance to Kiev as a sensible investment and a good way to spend public funds. Do people in the UK agree with that? I don't think so. Boris arguing that the UK would supposedly have to pay much more otherwise, because our collective security will be really degraded by a resurgent Russia threatening all sorts of parts of Europe. The former prime minister also pointed to the prospect of the U.S. cutting aid to Kiev as a potential risk, claiming some people with wrong views on the issue were in the president-elect Donald Trump's inner circle. Donald Trump has lots of different voices in his ears, and there's a front of the Republican Party, quite a lot of them actually, who take the wrong line on Ukraine. He said, if aid to Ukraine is reduced and Kiev starts losing, London could be forced to deploy troops to the region, Johnson claimed. We will then have to pay to send British troops to help defend Ukraine, the politician said. So that's Boris Johnson, the UK to the rescue. You know what I say? I say, yeah, why not? But Boris, my condition, I'm not a UK citizen, so I'm going to speak on behalf of the people of the UK. Hopefully people that are watching from the UK are not going to be angry with me. If you are angry with me, then let me know in the comments down below. But I would say, yeah, Boris, I agree. You go first. Once you go to the front lines, I guarantee you 100% I'm going to follow. And when it comes to money to Ukraine, I also say absolutely. The UK should forget about any money to fix their streets, any money to fix the roads, any money to healthcare, education, public spending, whatever. Let's not spend money on any of that. Let's give it all to Zelensky. But I would say that first, I would need to see all of Boris Johnson's millions go to Zelensky. Once he does that, then I support his plan 100%. So my conditions to Boris Johnson, I agree with him 100%. It's time for the UK to take over. If there is a void left by the United States, I would say absolutely, I'm with you, Boris. I'm right behind you. But you go first. You get on a plane. You go to Ukraine. You lead the charge and give all your money, because you're saying it's a great investment. You said it's a good investment. When someone says it's a good investment, a smart investment, a sensible investment, whatever, if you say that, then you would imagine that you would put your own money into a project, wouldn't you? If I come to you and I tell you, hey, this is a really good investment, what's the first thing you're going to ask me? And I tell you, put your money in this because it's a good investment. First thing you're going to ask me is, did you put your money in this investment? If I say no, what are you going to say? Well, why would I put my money in? So yeah, I think Boris should put his own money into Project Ukraine, all of it, because it's a good investment. And he should go lead the charge, man. And then, I say let's all join him. What a clown, man. What a clown, that Boris Johnson. He wants to save Zelensky. They were buddies. Anyway, that's Boris Johnson talking a whole lot of smack. Blinken is going to be in Brussels. He's going to talk to the Europeans, try to calm them down because they're freaking out. They're all freaking out about Trump, all of them. So Blinken's going to go there to try and sabotage Trump. That's what he's going to do. He's going to sit there with the Europeans, and they're going to sit around and figure out ways to sabotage Trump, the Trump administration, with Project Ukraine. You know it. It's exactly what Blinken's going to do as he goes to Brussels. What that's going to be, I don't know. But that's the purpose of his trip. That would be my guess. Merz, the soon-to-be, most likely, soon-to-be Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz. BlackRock Merz. Let's call him BlackRock Merz because the guy's BlackRock through and through. He's once again given out the ultimatum to Putin and to Russia. If he becomes chancellor, he's saying that either Russia capitulate to Germany, to the collective West, or else we're sending Taurus missiles. That's going to be the chancellor of Germany come February 23rd, I believe, is the election. They scheduled the election. I don't know if this is deliberate or by chance, coincidence, but they scheduled the election to coincide with the anniversary of the special military operation. Is Germany not completely taken over by Project Ukraine? Man, talk about destroying your country for Project Ukraine. Germany, you are completely, the political elite in Germany are completely obsessed, taken over by Project Ukraine. They even scheduled the elections. Whether they did it deliberately or not, maybe it was subconscious. It was subconsciously that they scheduled the elections to coincide with the anniversary of the special military operation. Man, they are absolutely consumed by Project Ukraine. That Zelensky number 5. I don't know. I guess when you go to Germany, Zelensky number 5 is just now in the air. I don't know. Maybe instead of like chemtrails, they have Zelensky number 5 trails, and it's just being sprayed all over the parliament in Berlin or something like that. I don't know what's going on, man. Anyway, in Brussels, Kallas, I mentioned this in my video the other day. She was being questioned by the parliament in the EU as they're doing this democracy theater. They're pretending to be democratic and to be a real government, right? They like to play government. Like when you're young, you would play house, right? But the EU, they like to play government. So the parliament sits there and they question Kallas, and they have it live on Euronews, which is their propaganda outlet, their propaganda media channel. And Kallas, who's going to be the foreign minister to take over for Jungle Joseph Borrell, she said that it's time for the EU to punish China. China must face higher costs for backing Russia in Ukraine, says next EU foreign policy chief. Kallas says Ukraine's victory in war is a priority for us all, adding that it is also in the U.S. interest. They're so afraid that the U.S. is gonna drop them, man. It's in the U.S.'s interest as well, right, to go after China. Yeah, the foreign minister, the chief diplomat, is being very diplomatic. Yep, we don't need to talk to China. We don't need to engage with China. Try to find some sort of a dialogue, common ground with China. A win-win with China. After all, that is what diplomacy is all about, right? You want to create a win-win situation. Sometimes you have to give a little. There is a give and take, and you do have to make concessions and sacrifices, but eventually you want to try to get to some sort of an understanding. She could have said something really, really good like that, really nice like that. Something that would make people say, wow, she really is a very good diplomat. She'll be great as the foreign minister of the European Union. But no, nope. Kaya Kallas is talking, punishing China. The former prime minister, she still is prime minister of Estonia, is talking about punishing China. I believe if you take the whole population of Estonia, the whole population, and put it in, I don't know, let's say Beijing, it would be a neighborhood in Beijing. It would be like one neighborhood in Beijing. The entire population of Estonia would be like the northeast of Beijing, if that. There'll be a couple of apartment complexes in Beijing. That's like the entire population of Estonia. And Kallas is threatening China. Come on, man. Because without China, she says, Russia would not win. And by the way, if you did the same thing with Cyprus, if you take Cyprus and put it in China, it would be one little neighborhood, man. We're small countries, man. We shouldn't be threatening China. We shouldn't be threatening Russia. We shouldn't be threatening the U.S. We shouldn't be threatening these big countries, man. It's just not, it's just not smart, man. It's just common sense, bro. Damn, these people, man. But yeah, she's saying that without China, Russia would have lost. Without China, Russia would have lost, according to Kaya Kallas. Coping. She's a coping. Anyway, let's finish off this video. The G20, which is going to take place, I believe, in Brazil. They've announced that Lavrov is going to represent Russia. Yeah, it's Brazil. Putin's not going to go. Not only because of the whole ICC warrant thing, and Brazil is signed up to the Rome Statute, and Khan, the wrath of Khan at the ICC, even though he's being investigated now for sexual misconduct. But yeah, Khan, the wrath of Khan. And Lavrov's going to go. I think the real danger is Putin flying such a great distance, given that the deep state, the collective West, is so crazy with Putin. It would have been a risk flying from Russia to Brazil. I don't think Brazil would have done anything to Putin, but better for Lavrov to go. I think that's a smart move. And here's an interesting post before I get to my clown world from Simplicius the Thinker. He posted on X, well, that's interesting. After a large attack on Kiev with Iskanders and KH-101s for the first time in a while, we have this report. The banknote and coin yard of the National Bank of Ukraine in Kiev was hit by Russian drones earlier tonight. Our partisans on the ground report that the attack caused serious damage to 2 production facilities used to print banknotes and mint coins. We have now confirmed that the strike disabled the equipment used to print banknotes, posing a threat to the stability of money circulation amid Ukraine's current economic difficulties. I just thought I would mention that because I think that's kind of an interesting point with regards to the strikes on Kiev. So let's do some cloud worlds and we'll wrap this video up. We'll just do one clown world. And even though my main clown world is Boris Johnson, to be quite honest, Boris Johnson and Kaya Kallas, those are my main clown worlds. But Kamala Harris, it is now coming to light that the Kamala Harris campaign, not only did they pay Oprah, well, they didn't pay Oprah. Oprah says that she didn't get $1 million. It was Harpo, her production company, that got $1 million. The Kamala Harris campaign is $20 million in debt. After raising $1 billion, they're now $20 million in debt, and they're trying to raise that money, trying to figure out how to plug that hole. But now we found out that the Harris campaign, they paid Al Sharpton, who's an MSNBC host, they paid one of his organizations that he's associated with $500,000 right before he gave a softball interview to Harris. So, I'm starting to believe that no one believed that Harris was going to win from the Democratic deep state globalist side of things. Maybe they had a hope that maybe she would pull it off, but I'm starting to believe that most of this was just about the grift. Yeah, everyone seems to have gotten paid and paid very well. By the way, the media companies, the collective West media companies like CNN and MSNBC, their ratings plummeted by like 50 or 60%, and now we're getting talk that CNN and MSNBC are going to be firing a lot of their star presenters. Those are the rumors. Anyway, that's the video. Maybe maybe the presenters that get fired from CNN and MSNBC, maybe they're also going to do podcasts, walk and talk videos. I don't know. Anyway, that's the video. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, like this hoodie that I'm wearing today. The link to Duran shop is in the description box down below. Take care.